Thank you for joining us here on SoJannelleTV. Guys, this is your go-to for stories of immigration and representation. Of course, coming to you from Southern California. You can catch us on TFC. Happy Sunday if you're watching on TFC. Happy Saturday if you're watching on ANC. And happy Monday if you're watching us on KXLA, which is a local channel here in Southern California. This afternoon on the show, we are still talking about PBT's Ibalon, a concert here that's happening in Southern California. Joining us all the way from Florida is the president of Philippine Ballet Theatre, Marilou Magsaysay. Hello and welcome to SoJannelle.
Thank you, Janelle. So nice to see you.
So nice to see you, and thank you so much for making time. For those who are not familiar, I was born and raised in the Philippines, so I'm quite familiar with PBT. But for those who are not familiar, how would you introduce PBT to our viewers?
Well, PBT started when we first began. We actually launched the Cultural Center of the Philippines under another name. And then from there, we had the revolution and a lot of things happened in the Philippines. And we came back under the name Philippine Ballet Theatre. And it's been 38 years since then, since our return. And we are a resident company of the Cultural Center for the last 38 years.
Congratulations, really bringing culture, Philippine culture to the forefront, right? Philippine dance culture to the forefront. When you talk about we started, does that mean you have been a part of it since its inception?
Let's put it this way, because of my age.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's perfectly okay. I'm comfortable with that. Yes, the founders of Philippine Ballet Theatre, most are still alive today and still working with us. They're icons in dance like Julie Borromeo, Tita Radaich, Vela Damian, Eddie Elejar. There are quite a few of them. I've been in dance for all my life. So yes, I've been there a long, long time.
You know, the name Tita Radaich actually rings a bell. She may have been my teacher when I was studying ballet at St. Teresa's College as an extracurricular elective course. But yeah, I mean, I did ballet for a few years as well. I didn't stick with it long enough, but I know that you have, and thank you for that, because I know that really how robust is the dance culture in the Philippines. We know of the bayanihan, of course. We know of the, folk dances, but how, how like some countries and in some cultures, it is a big thing, right? But for the Philippines, where do we fare in terms of appreciating that kind of art?
It could actually use an improvement. When I was much younger, there was a more robust audience. The shows would be sold out. And it kind of died for a few years. Now we're trying to build it up again with new Filipino choreography, original music, original choreographies for things like Sarimanok. Ibalon is our first original. We also have Andres Bonifacio. There are quite a number. And we're looking at another original for next year. It could be the legend of Maria Makiling. It could be something else. And I wish there would be more exposure and hopefully more support from the government. We did have it when the Cultural Center was built, and it has been supported, but not to the extent that it's needed. So when we go to the provinces, they're clueless, and to them it's a whole new world. And we have so much talent, so much, that we really should do more of the exposure, more of the provinces. And we're starting to do that this year, and next year it's going to be much, much more. So we're working on that right now.
Right, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, and I'm glad that you mentioned the provinces, grassroots level, right? Because there is a perception that ballet or this form of art is only appreciated by, it's kind of elitist. Would you comment on that?
It used to be very, because it's an expensive art. But now that we have the company, even then, like a pair of toe shoes today is 11,000 pesos. So if you don't support them, and most of our really good dancers, they come from the middle class, lower middle class, but the talent is there everywhere. You'll see it everywhere. When we do workshops in the provinces, it's amazing how people who have never danced before, it's a natural talent that's built into the Filipino.
What I like about your efforts as president of PBT for the last 7 years now is that you're not only going provinces in the Philippines, but also overseas outside of the Philippines. In 2019, we had our very first taste of a PBT concert here in Southern California. And obviously, we had to stop 2020, but through the years, you've been coming. Talk to us
Yeah.
about that first. I mean, that idea of bringing them out of the Philippines, and how was it received?
Somehow, when you go abroad, they have no idea how westernized we are and how modern we have become. And so they think they're going to see something way below par for the dancing and all of that. And so when we do perform, they're in shock. Our first comeback in 2022 was at the Plaza Hotel Ballroom, and we were brought in by Romulo Aromin. And then from there, we proceeded to LA under Rosie Chua as producer. And Rosie has been extra supportive of us since then, 22, 23, 24. And now with the Pinagmulan exhibit that's part of her event, she intends to continue for the next 4 years.
That is amazing. So I guess a question could be for Rosie, but also for you guys as well, because I know that something like this is a big undertaking. To bring a whole company from the Philippines, just flying them with all the costumes, with everything. Like, I can imagine that there are challenges.
There definitely are. We really thank Philippine Airlines because they fly us to the US for free. They're our major sponsor, and that saves us a lot of money. But when you talk of costs in documentation, it's very expensive even for us because we pay the USCIS, then we pay the visa fee. There's a lot of expense involved. Usually from New York, we come to Florida. So you can imagine having 18 people in my house.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
no joke. They can
Mhm.
eat out of house and home because they're always hungry because
Yes,
they exercise so much, right?
yes,
But
yes.
experience, and in a way, we become family. So we
Mhm.
get involved in each other's lives. We know what their problems are, and we try to help. And then from Florida, we usually fly to California, where Rosie's waiting for us. And they love it. They love it in LA because they're treated super, super well.
Mhm.
And, it's not often that you get dancers who've ever stayed in a hotel.
Mm.
And that experience, it just does something to their morale. And it's wonderful to see them so happy and so appreciated, more than anything, that they're appreciated for the talents that they have. So there's no class barrier, no such thing. It's really more for what they can show the world that the Filipino is capable of doing all of this.
And I find that interesting because, you're talking about the treatment and how they're treated here in Southern California. Do you also notice a difference in audience appreciation from, let's say, you're performing in the Philippines, or you're performing in New York, or performing in Florida, here, or elsewhere around the world?
Yes, the audiences are different. Somehow in the Philippines, much as I would like to say we're super, super appreciated, it hasn't come up to par to when I was younger, like I mentioned before. Just to get them to watch the show, many times you get this thing of, oh, I'm going to a singer's concert, and I'd rather go to a singer's concert until they watch just one of our shows,
Mhm.
and that's it. Then they're hooked. Then
And they're
they
blown away. Yeah.
ah, and it's like they can't believe it.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
Ballet Day is so different because we have all the projections, less sets, not like before. The expenses were mostly on all the sets, really expensive. Now with all the projection, you save on all of that. Of course, it's expensive to pay for the projections, but still, it's so much easier to do a production today.
And I know it is easier today, but then from when you talked about the challenges, what kept you going even through those challenges?
The love of dance, and you want to show the world that there's more to us Many times they think, oh, you live in trees. Oh, you eat dog. It's so silly things like this. And it's irritating, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. And so many times I say, we are probably more advanced than you are. But if we don't show it, they'll never know.
And we're showing it once again this year with Ibalon.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What is Ibalon? That's not even Tagalog. Tell us about
It's
that.
a Bicolano legend.
Mhm.
And it's about this king whose daughter was cursed by a witch in the market. And so he hires this prince to come with his whole group and go from island to island looking for her until he finally finds her. But by then, she's half human, half snake.
Oh,
So he didn't realize that the only thing that would break the curse would be that she would fall in love with him
okay.
and turn away from the aswang. There's
Okay.
aswang here. And so you will see them in Act 2. And as they say, love conquers all. Basically, that's what happens. And then there's a whole fiesta hosted by the king where they're all dancing. And that's the grand finale. But it's amazing to see the evolution of the legend, how it all began, and how you see this old woman on stage falling, and she happens to be the princess.
Mhm.
So she's an old woman by day and half human, half snake by night.
That is amazing. I get to the way you're talking about it. I can already imagine the colors and the movement on stage and the set with the, telling all all like appealing to all senses to tell this wonderful story coming from the Philippines as well. And you mentioned the aswang. You mentioned it's almost like an alamat, right? Like
Yeah.
the legend, right?
Yeah.
And it's bringing not just the dance, the talent of dance of the Filipinos, but also the rich culture of Filipinos, right? It's
Yeah.
amazing. I want to bring my kids. So my daughter is 8 years old and she's also into dance. And so I'm gonna bring my kids, guys, for those who are watching, it is for children as well,
Mhm.
right? And like myself, I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I married an English guy. We have 2 kids, so they're half Filipino, half English. But I always strive, obviously being raised in America, they don't get exposure to Philippine culture, right? So I always try to bring them to things, events, places, so that they develop an appreciation of their roots, or at least half of their roots, right? But I know that speaking of appreciation, it is not just going to be a show, because there's actually going to be an exhibit
Yes.
that's going to be open to everyone during the day. Tell us about this wonderful addition to this ballet show.
Okay, Pinagmulan is actually an exhibit of indigenous materials from Mindanao. And we have 2 fashion designers coming to show their collections. And the show actually opens with a short fashion show.
Wow.
It's beautiful. And the good thing about these 2 designers is that they're very different. Lendan Cabili is really very conservative. Everything in her collection is hand woven, hand sewn, and hand embroidered.
I'm familiar. Yes, I own a
Yeah.
few pieces, so I'm excited.
And then you have Ditta Sandico, and she is very avant-garde. But her collection is made from banaka, which is banana and abaca fused
Ooh.
together. So they're both very, very different, but beautiful. You're going to love it.
Right. And so there you are, guys. You buy a ticket, you think you're going to a ballet production, but you're not just witnessing a ballet production. If you make the most out of it, you also get to see a fashion show. You also get to go to the exhibit before the actual show begins, and it's going to be held at the world-renowned Cerritos Performing Arts, right? So what are you most excited about? There's a lot of facets in this show.
I know, it's a whole new world for us. We're used to just performing, just the ballet. So when Rosie came up with this idea, I said, okay, let's do it. And she's gone truly overboard because she wants to show the best of the best. I think you'll see a lot of stuff you never knew existed. So we're really trying to hit all the senses. So when you go in, you smell the sampaguita, we were not able to bring in the fresh flower because of the typhoons that we've had recently. But that was really part of the plan, to bring fresh sampaguita so people could see our national flower. And we will have the weavers. They're bringing their own looms, so you can actually see how they weave the materials.
Getting goosebumps. It's so exciting. Okay. Yeah.
I have a niece and 2 nephews, 5 years old, and they're going. They can hardly wait.
Okay, yes. So then I'll bring my boy too. My boy is 5. I think he would love it. Yeah.
It's so different. And you know what? More than anything, I think when they do the dance, like my niece Ainsley was there last year, she hasn't stopped dancing. She just wants to copy it. And even while the show is going on, she's dancing.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's really for all ages.
Congratulations. Now I'm thinking of everyone, like bringing my mom. I'm sure she misses the Philippines. She would love that. Bringing my husband just to expose him to more Filipino culture, right?
Yeah, there's still more.
Yes, right?
Act 3 will have 2 renowned classical pianists who travel all over the world. We have Raul Sonico and Rene Dalandan on 2 grand pianos. So they will be performing 4 hands. Mm-hmm. When they're done, then we have the Apo Hiking Society joining.
Them too? Oh my God, I had them on the show not too long ago. Yes,
yeah, yes. Joining. And then towards the end, Rosie will have a surprise, especially for the kids will really enjoy watching this and listening.
Okay.
I reveal the surprise. Wait until it happens on the 27th.
Yes. So so that will be my next agenda, is to have you invite our viewers to this. It sounds like a wonderful, kind of like a full day event of culture and feast for the senses.
I would like to invite everybody. When you think about it, for the price of 1 ticket, you get to see the exhibit, the fashion show, the singers, the classical pianists, and the surprise number at the end. I believe that you won't want to leave. Last year, they were saying the show was too short. Well, we're going to say the same thing about this show. You have everything rolled into one.
Yes, there is an exhibit, there is a fashion show, there is a dance production, there is a concert, and there's even a surprise number at the end. That's amazing. And it's for the whole family. Guys, bring everyone. Where can we get more information if they want to get more information? Where can we buy tickets? Can we buy directly at the from the Cerritos Theater Center of the Performing Arts?
No, you can call Rosie Chua, and she will be able to. A lot of people are selling tickets now.
We are proud media partner of this event, and so we'll see if we can also put the link on our website and our social media platforms at SoJannelleTV, which is a reminder to you, our viewers as well, to get social with us. We are always on our social networks or social media platforms on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And of course, we are also available on demand on iWantTFC. Thank you so much, Marilou, for joining us today. And we will see you in LA.
I would like to thank you, Janelle, ANC, ABS-CBN, TFC, for being our media partners. It's really an honor. Thank you.
Pleasure and honor are mine. Thank you. Thank you.